What does it mean to truly find happiness in life? Can we find real contentment by keeping up with society's ever-changing expectations, or is it better to embrace who we naturally are? German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche had strong opinions on this, especially when it came to the roles of women. His views on women's emancipation were controversial, because he believed that women stepping away from traditional roles might not actually find the happiness they were seeking. Nietzsche lived during the late 19th century, a time of big social changes. Women were starting to push for equal rights and more opportunities, demanding the freedom to choose their own paths, whether in education, careers, or personal life. Many saw this as a good thing, but Nietzsche had a different take. He argued that this push for equality could lead women away from their true nature, and, in the end, make them unhappy. In Nietzsche's eyes, men and women were fundamentally different by nature. He saw women as naturally nurturing, supportive, and focused on family and children. To him, these qualities weren't just because of social expectations, but because of women's natural instincts. He believed that encouraging women to chase the same goals as men, whether in business, politics, or academia, was a mistake, and would ultimately do more harm than good. He criticized the women's rights movement for creating what he called the modern woman, someone who rejects traditional roles, seeks independence, and competes with men. Nietzsche doubted whether this independence would bring real fulfillment. He thought that by trying to fit into these new roles, women might lose touch with their natural desires and instincts. Nietzsche's main concern was whether this new freedom would lead to happiness, or just leave women feeling disconnected from their true purpose. One of his biggest criticisms of the movement was that it ignored the importance of motherhood and family, which he believed were central to a woman's identity. He argued that by encouraging women to step away from domestic life, society was neglecting a crucial part of what made women who they are. For Nietzsche, focusing on careers and independence was a distraction from what he considered the most meaningful and fulfilling role for women. He also warned that trying to make men and women the same could lead to a loss of individuality and result in mediocrity. Nietzsche believed that society was overlooking the unique strengths of each gender by pushing for equality. In his view, the differences between men and women should be valued and celebrated, not erased. He saw the blending of roles as a threat to personal fulfillment and the overall balance of society. Nietzsche was also critical of the idea that happiness could be found in external achievements or social status. For him, true contentment came from living in alignment with one's natural self. He believed the women's rights movement was based on the false idea that happiness could be found by adopting traditionally male roles. He thought this approach would only lead to dissatisfaction because it ignored the deeper aspects of women's identities. Nietzsche's views on women's emancipation reflect his general skepticism about social progress. He often criticized society for focusing on surface-level changes instead of making deeper, more meaningful transformations. To Nietzsche, real progress came from understanding and embracing one's nature, rather than simply going along with society's trends. So basically, Nietzsche's critique of women's emancipation came from his belief that men and women are fundamentally different. He argued that encouraging women to take on the same roles as men would lead to unhappiness and a loss of identity.